Think of ASEA Redox as a resource. It's a powerful resource. It's not a nutritional resource. It goes deeper than that. Okay. It's not a vitamin. It's not a mineral. It's not even an antioxidant. It goes deeper than that. It's a raw energy, a bioidentical energy resource that gives your body the power and the signaling capabilities to actually move towards health and healing, to allow your body to work properly. So this power comes from redox signaling molecules, and that's why we call it a redox signaling supplement. And redox signaling molecules are high energy, extremely unstable, highly reactive molecules. Okay, they're known as reactive oxygen species molecules. They're highly reactive, and that's why science said they couldn't be stabilized. So the big ASEA breakthrough, why we are the one and only in the world, is because nobody else could figure out how to stabilize these molecules. Um, and that's a whole other story in itself. We now have 7 patents and over 1,000 trade secrets on this technology. Nobody's even close to achieving what we did. I think the last thing I'll just tell you is I'm really excited that we're kind of coming of age right now. 16 years ago, when I went out into the marketplace and started trying to educate and explain a product made from salt and water from Salt Lake City with molecules nobody had ever heard of, there was a lot of laughing going on. Okay. We went to universities to try and help us understand the technology, explain why we were seeing the results. We saw the lives changed from day one, but we didn't always know why that was happening. And I'm going to explain on the science here. Now we have a much better understanding as to why it's happening. But they didn't understand it. Today, 16 years later, we've got universities all over the world reaching out to us saying, we have got multi-million-dollar grants to study redox signaling. We weren't doing that a decade ago. We now understand what you have in a bottle and we want to partner with you. And so there's been a huge shift, which for me is very, very exciting to see our product kind of coming of age, as it were. This was the first big significant piece of science that really opened our eyes to what we have our hands on. So this came in 2017. So for 9 years, we knew the product was non-toxic, we knew it was safe, and we saw lives being changed all over the world. I mean, tens of thousands of lives changed. But truthfully, we didn't really know why. We knew it was to do with signaling. We knew that there was probably something to do with glutathione going on. And so we would say, look, we know it can do you no harm. It's a very, very safe product. There's no toxicity. It's native to your body. But we're not 100% sure why people are getting all of these amazing results. Then we did the Torrey Lab study, and this was the key study that we understood that not only does ASEA Redox signal at the cellular level, but it signals at the profound depths of the genetic level. And not just by a few percent, but up to 31% shifts in some of these genetic pathways that have very, very, very direct correlations with 5 critical areas of health: immune system, inflammatory response, cardiovascular health, digestive health, and hormone balance. And in fact, you could just take it back to those 2. And I've heard it said many times that every health challenge we experience is in one of these 2 pieces of pie. If you can help the immune system and the inflammatory response, guys, you make a massive difference. And if you can impact that at the genetic level by up to 31%, that is very, very significant. So in 2017, we really began to figure some stuff out, okay? So let me bring up the new science. That was really the beginning of that. Now let me bring up some new stuff here, okay? First of all, that's a little bit about me. My beautiful wife, also from Ireland, and my 2 beautiful leprechaunettes, as I call them. They're too old to be leprechaunettes now. Can't believe I've got 2 kids in high school. It's crazy. But I've been passionate about the health and wellness industry for 30 plus years. And I started my journey here in ASEA 16 and a half years ago. This has been my sole passion for 16 years in health and wellness. What I want to talk about is new science that just came out. Now, first of all, I want to explain a concept. Allostatic load. Anybody familiar with the allostatic load, what this is? The best way for me to describe this is the allostatic load is the cumulative cost of chronic stress on the body and your health. And this can be emotional stress, it can be chemical stress, it can be environmental stress, it can be dietary stress. You know, we got these chemtrails with all their nano aluminum. There's some environmental stress. We got fluoride and neurotoxins in our tap water. We've got God knows what in our genetically modified foods and all of the terrible pesticides and everything else. We got that emotional stress. I mean, all of this stuff going on. We got the hydrogenated fats. We've got endless sugars, sweeteners, all of this stuff that's going on. Okay, and so um, I want you to think of this cumulative stress that your body needs to deal with, like a liquid level in a glass. Okay, and the allostatic load is the level of that liquid. Now, the glass can only contain so much. Okay. It's not an infinitely sized container. And I think, and I might be wrong on this, I'm not a genetics specialist, but I believe that maybe why do some people struggle more than others is I think some people genetically have bigger glasses than others. It kind of makes sense to me. Some people maybe just genetically they've got smaller glasses. Some people have got big old pint glasses and they can handle more. Okay. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Because what happens when the level of the liquid gets higher than the glass, it starts to overflow. And that, my friends, is disease. That's when your body can't handle the stress anymore. It can't contain it anymore. It's like nuclear waste. It can't be contained anymore, and now it's overflowing. And now that toxicity, that negativity, that stress, it is going to impact your body in some way. Okay. So this allostatic load is very, very important. So the allostatic load is the level of liquid in the glass. And when it overflows, when it gets too big for your body to handle, probably based on your genetics and the level of allostatic load, then dis-ease. That's where the word comes from. Your body begins to enter a state of dis-ease. Okay. So I don't think we can change the size of the glass. Now, maybe a genetics expert can tell me I'm wrong on that, but we can impact the level of the liquid, okay, the level of the allostatic load. So we went to a very reputable lab, Aspen Labs. We did a 30-person 4-month study. Now, sometimes we'll do in vitro, kind of just cellular test tube stuff to see, is there something here? This was actually set up as a safety study with 30 people drawing blood. So this is as real life as you can get. Okay, you'll tend to find in vitro, petri dish studies that the results will be much higher than you might experience actually in real life. This is a real life 30-person blood test study, and it was over 4 months. Now, it was initially designed to be a safety study because many of you may not know that, but we actually increased the energy, we increased the concentration of redox signaling molecules by 30% back at the end of 2022. And so all of the product through 2023, 2024, 2025 is 30% stronger than what we actually originally started with in the first decade of business. And so we felt, although we knew from our own studies, we felt it was right to do official double-blind safety studies to show, hey, still zero toxicity, still totally safe, native to the body. But as they started this, they began to see some astonishing things. And this study quickly went way beyond just a safety study. Now, there are things called cytokines. Cytokines are ways that you can measure the allostatic load, the level of liquid in the glass. And there's cytokines such as interleukin 1 beta, IL-1 beta, and interleukin 6, okay, IL-6. And they can be used as a measure of this allostatic load, just like you got milliliters or ounces, fluid ounces or whatever on the side of a measuring cup. This is one way that you can measure the level of that liquid. IL-6 is very interesting. IL-6 is one of the cytokine measurements that they use for myocarditis, for inflammation of the heart. That's a key measurement for that, which we saw in epidemic levels after people got jabbed and boosted and all sorts of things, okay? So IL-6 is a very, very important measurement. Let's start with IL-1 beta, interleukin 1 beta. We did measurements day 0, day 60, and day 120. So three measurements, beginning, middle, and end, okay? What we noticed in the first 60 days was a 16.6% decrease of IL-1 beta. And then overall, for all 120 days, we noticed an 89% reduction in interleukin 1 beta. This is extremely significant. Okay, this is having a very significant reduction in that level of liquid in the glass to stop it spilling over. Remember, that's the key. You don't want it spilling over. You don't want it spilling out of the glass. Okay, just think of it like, again, like radioactive waste. You want to keep it contained. And if it starts spilling over, you've got problems. Okay, you got Chernobyl on your hands. And this is where people begin to, they don't feel great. They feel lousy. Symptoms start to show up. The body starts to experience dis-ease. Okay, so this is significant. Now, IL-6 is a harder one to shift. It's smaller movements in IL-6 are actually very, very significant. Okay, just so you don't compare these two. They're different measurements. They move differently. So 89% is very significant for IL-1 beta. What I'm going to show you here is very significant for IL-6. Day 60, first 2 months, we saw a 2.6% reduction. After 3 months, we saw an 11.5% reduction in IL-6. Again, very, very significant in that IL-6 marker. Okay. There's some takeaways from this. Where's the magic happening? It's happening month 3 and 4. The magic is happening month 3 and 4. And I've had people call me and text me and email me, go, I've been on ASEA now for 30 days. I didn't notice anything. It's a waste of money. You missed the magic. And it's funny, people just don't, they just miss the point. You didn't get sick overnight. It generally is recognized it takes about 7 years for this spilling out of this allostatic load or other issues you're dealing with, or dietary issues. It takes about 7 years often for that to manifest itself as the dis-ease in your body. And so you don't get sick overnight. And also, no matter how good your product is, you're not going to just all of a sudden, boom. And so unfortunately, this is why it's one of the reasons why we just have an epidemic of sickness, is people have a very short-sighted view to their health. They want something for nothing so fast, and it's sad. It's just a lack of education, and so this shows very, very clearly that with ASEA Redox, as powerful as it is, the magic happened month 3 and 4. And if somebody's just given this 60 days, they're missing the magic. Okay, so maybe a 16.5%, 16.6% decrease in IL-1 beta isn't enough to stop it overflowing out of the glass, but 89% is. And all of a sudden, things start to clean up. The body can start to take care of itself. It can start to handle and contain the stress again. The toxic load is back in the box again. It's not seeping out anymore. Okay, so that's a huge takeaway from this. There's something else that's very important from this, and that's glutathione. So we've known for a long time that we have a very significant impact on glutathione. Quick education for those that don't know, glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. Okay, it is considered the king of antioxidants. It's many, many, many times more powerful than what we call exogenous antioxidants, like the vitamin C found in an orange or a blueberry or a strawberry or something like that. That's all great, but glutathione is an endogenous antioxidant. Exogenous means outside the body, endogenous means inside the body. And so glutathione is made inside your cells. It's the antioxidant your cells truly depend on. The other stuff's just gravy, what we get from our food, etc. This is the master antioxidant. Think of antioxidants even based on surface area, and this is important when we talk about supplements. And so if an antioxidant is only a small surface area, it's only got limited power to reduce free radicals, etc. The bigger the surface area, the more powerful. So think of like a light bulb. One of those little flashlights you get in a keychain with a tiny little bulb on the end. You get in a Christmas cracker or something. You don't have Christmas crackers in America, but anyway, the Europeans would know what I'm talking about. But you get a little toy flashlight with a tiny little bulb on the end. That's a tiny little antioxidant. You get glutathione. It's like a halogen light that fills a football field. Okay, massive surface area. Okay, so it's incredibly powerful. But because it's such a large surface area, it's very difficult for us to absorb glutathione supplements. It's very most glutathione supplements are a total waste of money. Now they go around liposomal glutathione, or they go to nanoglutathione, or they try and do glutathione IVs and all the rest of it. We have a better solution. Why don't we give your body the raw energy it needs to make its own glutathione? How's that for an idea? Okay, and now we know that your body's actually going to produce how much glutathione it needs. See, you could take too much glutathione and get your body out of balance. It's life is all about homeostasis. It's all about a balancing act between reductants and oxidants. And we don't want so much glutathione that we start getting things out of whack. We want to keep it in balance. And that's another really exciting thing that we saw here. We saw that ASEA Redox responds with the body's needs. Again, ASEA Redox does not have an end in mind. It's simply the resource. Now, if you're going to get rid of the bugs, fix the toilet, fix the window, or fix the hole in the roof, you choose what order you want to do. You choose what you do and what you leave. Your body's the genius. We're just giving you the resource. And so what we also saw from this study was that the body produced ramped up glutathione the most when it needed it in the first 60 days. But as things began to get under control, the ramp up wasn't as, we didn't need as much. And so things began to curve off a little bit. Again, we're empowering the body to produce what it needs. We're tapping into and empowering the natural native intelligence of your cells. That's the magic behind ASEA. So we saw from this that we're really responding to and utilizing the adaptive and responsive nature of our body. Now, let's talk about another fancy word that makes me look really, really smart, but in full disclosure, I've been practicing saying it. Immature granulocytes, okay? Immature granulocytes. Immature granulocytes are like white blood cells that have not been designated a purpose yet. Think of them like the stem cells for the immune system. So stem cells aren't any particular type of cell yet. They're stem cells, but they can be defined later as heart cells or liver cells or lung cells or whatever. Well, immature granulocytes are kind of like the stem cells of the immune system. They're the white blood cells of the immune system. And so if you think of your immune system is like the military of the body. Okay, there's an enemy, and the immune system needs to go out and attack that enemy, whatever it is, a parasite, virus, fungus, bacteria, whatever's malfunctioning cells, whatever that challenge is. You've got 5 divisions of the military. Okay, you got the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, and the good old Coast Guard. Okay, think of these immature granulocytes as the reserves. They're the reserves. They haven't been designated a division yet, but they're there ready when you need them. And we increased immature granulocytes by 116.5%. Okay, this is, again, very significant strengthening of the immune system. Getting the immune system ready so when it needs more reserves, it's got it. Hey, we need a ton more folks in the Marines. Great, let's bring them on board. Hey, we need the Air Force. Great, we got the reserves. Okay, and so this is a very significant finding. I have not practiced saying this word. Eosinophils, is that right? Eosinophils. They are connected to parasites, and so we know that ASEA has an antiparasitical component to it with this decrease by 11.09%. And so what this slide is showing you is using ASEA over a 120-day period left participants better prepared to respond to infections or bacterial, viral, and parasitic stressors. Okay, very, very important. So that is really the new science that came out that I wanted to share with you, the allostatic load, and these numbers, keeping that liquid down so it's not spilling out over the glass, so your body's not in a place of disease. And then also this really important immune system immature granulites, this huge 116% increase in your reserves. So that's let me stop the screen share here. That's some of the science that we released. There is more coming. Okay, the company are currently writing a white paper on this. I think they're waiting for one more study to be finished, and they should have the white paper completed by the end of the year. But this is pretty significant stuff. So let's do this. Let's see if we can take some questions on this.